So, good morning, 1 million cups. I feel like I'm amongst friends. My name is, my parents call me Eva Forde, but I answer to Eva as well. And how many of you know what MSSW means? Okay, great, that's wonderful. It's the acronym for a Master's of Science in Social Work. Now, I tell you this because most people that have all these letters behind their names, you don't know what they are, unless it's an MD or RN or something like that, or MBA. And I, over the years, have had a kind of a love-hate relationship with telling people my degrees. I've got 2 degrees in social work, a bachelor's and a master's. I've taught at the university level. I've written a book with social work in the title. I've founded a conference. I have my own business with social work in the title. And yet, I don't work with social workers. Most of the time, you will find me with entrepreneurs, business leaders, startup professionals, because what I've realized is that my social work skills are so valuable in these spaces. So what I want to do is I just want to give you an overview of just high-level view of some of the tools that I use when I'm working with businesses, owners, entrepreneurs, and leaders. All right. So first off, who is in the room? I really want to know. I've met Dan, I've met Rob, I've met Steve, a couple of you, but in terms of what brings you here, what are some of the things that you're curious about? Just shout out a few things. What are you hoping to get from being a part of 1 Million Cups? That's what I want to know.
Helping others.
Helping others, great, okay. And helping others, you can help people in a famine, you can help people at the library. So helping others, be a little more specific, Chris?
I try and help people all the time if they need it.
Yeah, and so
No matter where it is.
what does 1 Million Cups afford you, or who does 1 Million Cups afford you the opportunity to help?
People that are really driven towards their goals.
I love that. People who are really driven towards their goals. So is it a true statement that those of us that are here would consider ourselves driven, goal-oriented? Yes? Okay, great. So surrounded by fellow goal-oriented people. Yeah? What else brings you to the room? Anyone else? Yes, go ahead, Rob.
I'd like to see more disruptors, especially from Greater Hartford.
Yeah.
And I just want to support them so they can get on their way and have the momentum they need to be successful.
I love that. And if you like to see more disruptors, I can tell you something about you. You are a disruptor. Because we like to see people and connect with people like us. So I already know you're a disruptor, whether or not you agree with that statement. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. Hi. And one last thing. Anything else that you all hope to get by being part of 1 Million Cups? Connections. Yeah, I love that. Same. So thank you for inviting me. All right, one of the things that we use in social work, that I use in business, is we use this model called person in environment. And person in environment means that we don't look at everything through the same way. What we look at first is who it is, and where are they in a point in time. So, are they someone in a country different from us, in a city? And what are they dealing with? Are they dealing with war? Are they dealing with famine? If it's a business, let's say a business or an entrepreneur, right? Are they dealing with disruptions like AI? Are they dealing with internet challenges? Like what are those things happening for them in the moment? Is it in the social work perspective? In business and entrepreneurship, we don't usually deal with children unless you have a business or you're a leader that works with kids. But there's this perspective that we have. I think a lot of times in business and leaders they have a view that they have a hammer, and so every problem is a nail. Is that how that goes? Every problem is an amp, right? And that's not necessarily the case. So we look at what are people's motivations? What are people's drives? Are they looking for disruptors? Are they challenged with community? And so that's one of the frameworks that we use. Another one is micro, meso, macro. This is another framework. Have you heard of this?
Yeah.
So, okay, yes. And once I tell you, if you haven't heard of it, you'll understand very clearly. So you understand the words. Micro is small, meso, we mean kind of a medium, and macro is more global. And so whenever we're working with individuals, entrepreneurs, businesses, I'll say whenever I'm doing that, right? I'm using that lens as well. So I might work with a business leader who says, our team or our company is going through challenges or changes, and they're not listening, and they're not showing up. So it's my job and my opportunity to really look at, okay, what's happening for that leader on an individual level, what's happening for those team members on that individual micro level. That's the micro. The meso speaks to, okay, what are those team dynamics? And how do those team dynamics impact and influence what's really happening? Things like behavior, their output, and their productivity, and then on a macro scale. And macro, when we're talking to businesses or leaders, it's really oftentimes it just comes down to what's the bottom line? How is all of this impacting the bottom line? On a micro level, that leader might be going through a nasty divorce. And it literally impacts the bottom line on that macro level. But there are all these dynamics that we get to work through. All right, another framework that I use when I work with businesses or leaders or entrepreneurs is a systems framework, systems mindset. Now, have you heard of this, or do you use this, or do you know what I mean when I say a systems perspective? Yes? All right, okay. You're right here with me. All right, so systems perspective, just like the solar system, if our sun drops out of the sky, it's going to affect us, right? If the other day I had I twisted my ankle. That's what happened. I twisted my ankle. And that twisted ankle affected the rest of my body. I couldn't walk. That affected, so one thing affects the other, I couldn't walk. I had to sit down. That affected my time in getting to my next appointment. So we look at not just one entity, but what's the system? When we think about ourselves, it's we think about our respiratory system, or we can think about our, what's another system?
Circulatory?
Thank you. That's the word I was looking at. I know we have many systems. You get an A. Good job. But businesses, leaders, entrepreneurs have systems as well. And we are impacted by systems. One of the systems, like you mentioned, Teresa, is community. And that's something that we all need. It's a human need, not just a nice to have. So we look at the systems impacting. And then finally, we work from a strengths perspective. And I'll say this again for me. So when I'm speaking with someone or talking to a business leader, entrepreneur, owner, or a person, I'm always looking for what do they have going for them? Whether or not they feel like that's where they are. A lot of times people come to me when they're in a challenging mindset or environment, and I'm looking for their strengths. I'm looking for, you've got a great network, or we were talking last week and looking at, you've already got a great product. You may have a great idea, or you've got great support. So we're looking for their strengths and then building on those. So whether that is, again, for an individual who may be going through a challenging time. I know a lot of us, I had a conversation yesterday with someone who shall remain nameless in this room, but they were mentioning that a lot of people, and I'll raise my hand and say as well, this time is bringing up this question of relevancy for a lot of us. Is that something that anyone here is dealing with? Yeah. And so it can make you really insecure. Like, where do I fit in now? You know, am I behind? Am I too late? And so one of the tools to combat that is looking at where you are, whether you're looking at where you are as an individual on a micro level, the meso level, or the macro level. But what are the strengths? What do we have going for us? What's going well? What can we use, right? And so the truth of the matter is, we're always going to be relevant. You're always going to be relevant. We get to kind of identify what makes us badass. Can I say that? And focus on that and lean into that, right? We are one of one. Each person, each company, each organization is one of one. And so we give ourselves leverage and an advantage when we really focus on that. So I think that...
Great, so we could go into the Q&A. We have about 11 minutes for that because we compress things for respecting people's time.
Okay, so thanks. Yes, hi Rob.
Hi, first question.
Yes.
Relevance, is that the same thing, in your opinion, as knowing one's purpose in life? Or is it something different, like applying your strength to a cause or a legacy you're trying to build? Consider that one the same, or is that a different category?
Yeah, I think, and this, my opinion, or it's less of an opinion and more of an informed perspective, but it is informed by various perspectives. That this idea of, did you say passion or purpose? Purpose. That purpose, we have to kind of find our purpose. And my informed theory is that we get to choose our purpose. And so we can choose to have a purpose that's different at a different stage of life. And in that respect, that relevance, again, I truly believe that relevance, again, in context. What is the environment we're talking about, right? So perhaps your skills and you may speak 7 languages, but if you're in a country that speaks none of those, how relevant is it that you speak all of those languages, right? So it really matters the context that we're looking at. So I think it's easy to kind of get caught up in, I found my purpose and now I'm relevant. And I think we can call BS on that. Like, okay, you get to choose what you want to do, how you want to show up, what you want your legacy to be. If you want to have a legacy, like, we get to make it all up. We get to choose it. The questions that we're having now in this day and age are the same questions people had 150 years ago, are same questions people had millennia ago. We ask these questions because we are human and we want to, it matters that we are, it matters that we matter.
Well, I would just add, I guess ultimately we matter to ourselves.
Not everyone. We would like to think that.
I mean, I guess that's the ultimate objective.
That's the ultimate objective, that we matter to ourselves. Yeah? Yes. Are you all familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Kind of, ish. Okay, so Abraham Maslow was a psychologist that I think Maslow died in the 1900s. In the early 1900s. And he talks about these levels of need. So the first level, basic, we all need food. It's physiological needs. We need food, we need rest. He put sex in there. I don't know that that's really a physiological need, but he did put like defecation in there. Absolutely, we need, to do that. And then after physiological needs, there are safety needs. So, okay, now I've eaten, but are there guns shooting at me? Or, am I sleeping out in the elements and I don't want to? So safety needs is the next one. At the top of the needs are self-actualization needs. But right below that is, I'm not sure if it's right below, there's love and belonging needs. That's a need. We need to belong. We need to matter. And that is hard to come by on your own because we are social creatures and none of us comes into this world alone. And none of us survives by ourselves. So we actually need, there's all kinds of studies done around what happens to a human brain and body and our potential when we don't have community and support and connection. Yes.
I have a question.
Yep.
So how can one who found a place, their passion has taken them to this place where they are fulfilling a need of being a source of connection and resource for others. But if they follow that passion and be there for that person, are you able to help them connect it to monetizing or else?
Absolutely.
They will
Okay.
die.
What I haven't told you is that I love talking about money. That's another conversation. But the social work business, the business that I started, my first one, is called Rich Social Worker. And I have the Social Work Wealth Conference. I mentioned that. Anyway, what I love about your question is that it's at the heart of where we are in this age of, doing work that matters and having that work nourish us. And not just financially, but definitely financially, but also, you said fulfilling, right? We all want to be fulfilled. We don't just want to survive, we want to thrive. And fulfillment is one of those things. So again, with the framework of the person in the environment, what are we talking about? Are you talking about am I talking to someone one-on-one? Are we talking about a business that wants to thrive and survive? Or are we talking about, is someone in a career change? So the answer is yes. But, ultimately, I think sometimes we want people to decide for us. Mm-hmm. And the harder work is to make a decision and decide, like, okay, you know what? I love these two things, or I have these opportunities, or I could choose my path and my passion, but what do I do? And we don't want to get it wrong. And the truth is, we are making it up. We get to make it up. We get to make it up, and we get to put purpose into what we've decided.
Thank you.
Yeah. Just a follow on that.
Yeah.
Maybe I find it surprising when I talk to some people that some people don't quite know yet, and they might be middle age right now, what truly makes them happy in life. I think it starts there, right? How do you want to be spending your days?
Yeah.
If you don't know that, then you're kind of drifting, right?
Yeah.
You're aimless, which is not good, right? So you can't help anyone if you're just, you don't make you happy yourself, right?
I think a lot of people are in that space, and a lot of people now, I think, are in the space not because they want to be in the space, because they lost their job, or someone died, or it's where they are. If I were to ask you, what did you want to be when you were a kid? When you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up? You could tell me, right?
No.
Yeah?
No.
No? You didn't know? Okay.
In the mud playing?
Yeah, in the mud playing. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, well, yeah.
That was one.
But you were clear.
You were clear.
You were clear. No, but you were clear. That's what I mean. You were clear. And I think what happens, I wouldn't even just say I think, like, research shows this, that as we adults, right, we get trained out of being who we are.
There's an interesting paper, Emerson scholar, 1962, really resonated really crisply with me. He defines power as the inverse of dependence. And it's just such a crisp, kind of like that chord that's struck that really just captures your attention. And there's so many different ways to look at it, in terms of purpose. One's purpose could be constraining one's power in terms of, constraint that one puts on themselves, as opposed to, the extreme end of this would be, Buddha saying, I let go of everything, and I attain my highest power because I want nothing. So this notion of power, is fascinating to me. I've done a lot of research on it, and it's just interesting in this modern world. I think what you're really saying, to me, from what I understand, is you're saying to empower oneself, right? Through, but then, which requires that we recalibrate our wants and needs throughout the process. Anyway, I just wanted to...
Thank you. No, thank you. We could talk for days. I will, the hill that I will always die on is we have choice. We have choice in how we show up. We have choice in how we live our lives. We have choice if we have businesses on how we operate those businesses and the values that underpin everything that we do. And what happens is when we make those choices, just like for every effect, why am I blanking today? For every force, there's an equal and opposite. Every action, thank you. Every action, there's an equal and opposite. So there are results or consequences, however you want to see it, for choosing your path. And I'll end on this because I think we have one more question. We have one more question. Yep. Okay, great.
Not a long question.
Are there any questions? All right, so I'll end on this, and I hope I've given you kind of the framework that I come into conversations with, and what I really love doing is having these conversations with leaders who can impact others. And I am reminded of this poem that Robert Frost or Henry Wadsworth Longfellow? You may know, Ari. The Road Not Taken. Do you know this poem? Two roads diverged in a yellow wood. And so, you know this poem. Okay, I'm going to say it for you anyway. Because I think it so crystallizes where we are right now. So two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry, I could not travel both. And be one traveler, long I stood and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the other undergrowth. Then took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim because it was grassy and wanted wear. But as for that, the passing there had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay on leaves no step had trodden back. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I would ever come back. I should be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by. And that has made all the difference. So okay, thank you. But I implore us to choose. We have the power to choose. We have the power to choose. Even in the face of others' values that are not our own, we have the power to choose. Even in the face of economic challenges, in the face of opportunities, we always have the power to choose. And there are tools and frameworks and supports to help you do that better. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.